Let's talk about Mr. Kyrie Irving. So for all of our listeners, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's the brother right there.
Yeah, so Kyrie has been in the thick of things lately, man. For those of y'all who don't know, it's a lot going on with Mr. Irving right now. And the gist of the matter is he is smack dead in the middle of the vaccine debate. So we, of course, are going to touch on the subject. And our official question is it fair for Kyrie Irving or anyone else to lose their job over vaccine mandates? So, fellas, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and start us off on this subject because for me, I think it's, fairly simple. So to the question, is it fair for Kyrie Irving or anyone else to lose their job? Absolutely not. In my opinion, it's within everyone's constitutional rights to refuse vaccination and to impose mandates that force people to be vaccinated and ultimately negate those rights should be unconstitutional. It's that simple. Just like people have the right to be vaccinated and to choose to be vaccinated, people have the right to not be vaccinated. It's crazy how this subject has caused such great division within our country. People who are vaccinated are actually looking down on people who are non-vaccinated. We're talking about a constitutional choice. Since when is it okay to look down on someone because of their constitutional right that they're enacting? Did we learn nothing from all of these different situations that have occurred in our country in the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years? It's preposterous. I mean, I'm certain that most companies are making exceptions for folks who have religious limitations because enforcing vaccinations will go against their right to practice their religion. So the same consideration should be made for anyone else since we're talking about constitutional rights. Because if not, we're looking at the convolution of those rights, which would inevitably lead to people feeling that they have the right to violate other people's whenever they see fit. I mean, it's exactly how some cops and bigots treat the constitutional rights of Black people. Oh, I'm going to be willy-nilly about whether this person gets to execute their right or not. No, we got to put a stop to that shit now. People don't have the right to judge people based on whether or not they want to get the vaccine. I mean, let's keep it a buck. You do, right? If that's what you can be within the walls of your home and feel however you want to about someone else. But that person doesn't have to give a shit about how you feel about them. Their constitutional right allows them to make that decision without giving a fuck about what you think about it.
Correct.
It's that simple.
It couldn't be that simple.
However, with all that said, though, of course, Kyrie should understand that with every decision, there are consequences. But as per his latest video commentary on his Instagram, it's clear that he does. Right? He comes out and says that he's making the decision that fits his life the best. He doesn't expect people to necessarily agree with it. So he's of clear mind making this decision. It's not like someone is putting the gun to Kyrie's head. It's not like there isn't evidence that Kyrie goes against the grain most of the time anyway. Kyrie is a flat earther believer. I mean, a lot of people don't see him as someone of the norm anyway because of his history with these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why anyone's shocked.
So sorry to cut you off, Night Angel and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool that he thinks that the earth is flat. I think it's square, but that's just me. But continue.
I'm sorry, say that last part again.
Oh, I just said basically that, that it doesn't bother that, Kyrie thinks, the earth is almost flat. I think it's square, but that's just me though. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, right? My ultimate point is that I don't know why people are shocked by this. This is the Kyrie Irving he's always been. He's always gone against the grain. And at the end of the day, what he's doing, because he's not just saying, I'm not going to be vaccinated, but I'm going to still come around people. He's accepted that he's not going to be vaccinated and he's going to forfeit being able to play. He's accepted that. Now, let's talk about that other side of it, right? Who does his decision affect? Because obviously, I understand that his decision affects his teammates and specifically their championship run, right? Because
not exactly, though. Not exactly.
The Brooklyn Nets, right? I mean, look, so finally, the Brooklyn Nets would have a healthy Kyrie, healthy Kevin Garnett. I was going to say Kevin Garnett, healthy Kevin Durant, and a healthy James Harden, which is almost like
isn't Blake Griffin still on the team?
I'm sorry?
Isn't Blake Griffin still on the team?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Blake. But with those three alone, that's almost like a guaranteed playoff run out of the East, right? You're talking about Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. So I get it. But still, I think it's ridiculous to ask someone to go against their core beliefs just to satisfy their teammates' wants to go to the championship. So
sorry to cut you off, Angel. Sorry, I'm so super sorry.
No, you're
but
fine.
I'm just letting you know, Blake Griffin is actually on the team. Just saying.
Okay. So Blake Griffin too. I mean, I think for me, it's not that, I was purposely leaving him off, but Blake Griffin is not a part of what people consider the major three for the Nets, right? It's like ever since there was Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and the other one Ray Allen in Boston. Like when people refer to these super teams, they normally talk about their big three, right? Like now in LA, you got LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, right? So that's basically why I mentioned those three. But yes, absolutely right, Blake Griffin as well. But still, to my point though, to ask someone to go against their core beliefs just to satisfy the rest of the teams want to go to a championship. I know this sounds crazy because you're talking about an entire team, but you're talking about someone's constitutional right to make a decision that they feel could possibly change their life. I mean, again, if this was a religious person, they wouldn't be doing it. You think that any of them would come to them and be like, dog, fuck your religion. We really want this championship. Go against it? No. So why do they think it's okay to come down on Kyrie like this about this situation? I'm sorry, but I'm tired of this. I'm going to be choosy about when I'm supporting someone's rights behavior. It's fucked up. People are judgmental of people who are anti-vax. They make fun of them, their Facebook memes and etc.
Yeah,
you have no right to be judgmental about how someone else chooses to live their life. I bet you they won't do that about someone who chooses not to vax because of their religion. What's the difference?
That's true. And also, sorry to cut you off again, Night Angel, but what I wanted to say was that this whole vax and unvax thing, if you really look at the retrospect of the lens behind it, it is basically simple discrimination by segregation. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. And what we're saying here is that there's a certain air to people who are vaccinated as if they're somehow better. Let me drop a few dimes for people who are unaware of what's going on with vaccinations, okay? First of all, being vaccinated does not mean that you are somehow immune to COVID. I personally know several people who are fully vaccinated who still contracted COVID afterwards.
Boom.
So stop it. Stop it. You are not somehow Superman or Superwoman just because you're vaccinated. That's one. Two, we're literally talking about a level of classism that's happening here. These people literally think that they are somehow better than people who are not vaccinated just because they got the vaccine. First of all, there's a certain level of ignorance tied to that I can't even speak on, because you're literally declaring yourself superior to someone because you chose to get a shot. Think about the level of ignorance and air of stupidity associated to that statement. Yeah, that's like, why aren't you saying that about when you chose to get a flu shot and someone else didn't?
True.
Are people who chose not to get a flu shot also less than you?
True.
It's ridiculous. It's preposterous and it's ridiculous, and people need to be called out. Get the fuck off your high horse. You're still eligible to get COVID and die from it.
Correct.
It's that simple.
That is correct.
Correct.
I mean, people are making arguments. Well, yes, but you're less likely to die from it. It depends on the individual immune system. I mean, listen to the argument, right? The argument is that COVID keeps on evolving. That's why people have to get vaccinated, and that's why some people still get it after they've been fully vaccinated. Well, if it keeps on evolving, that means you would have to keep on releasing vaccinations in order to be immune to it or to build up immunities to it. How many fucking vaccinations you gonna take? 100? I'm just over it. And let me be clear. I'm not saying that people who have vaccinations are the ones wrong. The point is, I'm not fucking judging either set of people, and neither should no one else be. Let me be clear. Even though I made all of those factual comments, look them up, about getting vaccinations, I'm not saying that people are wrong for choosing to be vaccinated. I'm
That's
saying
your choice.
Get off your high horse for looking down at people who choose not to be. It's none of your business what the next person does. If you're vaccinated, you should be good, right?
That's what I thought.
That's your argument.
You're
vaccinated, you should be good. So why you care about the non-vaccinated people? Oh, they're causing it's bullshit.
You know,
their arguments have no validity. It's causing the numbers to increase. Well, so are the people who are vaccinated that are still getting COVID.
True.
Yep. Technically, they're causing the numbers to increase.
That is true.
But here comes the funny thing about the whole situation. Remember when Dr. Fauci said, we got to make sure we get our COVID vaccine so we can stop the spread of COVID. I'm like, so you're not even talking about getting rid of it. You chose your words lightly and said, stop the spread of COVID. I'm like, okay, that don't even make sense. My specific point, because again, I'm actually someone who's very big in science, and that science is very important. Same. However, the logic behind getting vaccinated to stop the spread and those who don't are continuing the spread is ridiculous, because those who vaccinated have also continued to get COVID.
Yep.
So if that's your argument, it's invalid. And to my point, in general, stop judging people because they made a right that they made a decision, that they are 100% within their constitutional rights to make. Stop doing that. It's that simple. We can't continue to do that. Now, one last point in summation, right? According to Kyrie's latest statements on this, so his Instagram live video that he did, it sounds like there were some other things going on in the background that we weren't aware of, because as per the CBS Sports article, Kyrie is or was under the impression that he had a choice. Here's what the article reads. Most notably, Irving confirmed that he is unvaccinated and said that he will not be retiring, and claimed that he was promised an exemption from the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, let's think about what we're saying. Irvin made this statement on a live video a live video Instagram post. So he knows he could be liable for slander. He comes out and says he was promised an exemption. It sounds to me like once the city of New York made their decision to have people vaccinated, that's when the NBA decided to enforce it, which fine, I get it. That makes perfect sense. You're in Brooklyn. People are playing at the Barclays Center or whatever. Yes, you got to follow the New York protocol. But so don't act like Kyrie is just some wild fucking being just acting off emotions and etc. It sounds like at some point before that mandate came down, y'all was willing to let him do him. Now you're trying to vilify him. I'm not for it. It's just bullshit. He has the right to do what he feels is right for him. It's that simple.
I agree.
Nothing else to be said about it. Let the man live because it's his constitutional right to make that decision.
We can't be saving hoes.
Those are my thoughts on it. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. P.A.T. What say you, sir?
All right, so my answer to this question is going to be very simple and straightforward. And my answer is no. No one should lose their job over vaccine mandates. Mm-hmm. I mean, what the fuck? For real, like what the fuck? Why are people's livelihoods being threatened over these mandates?
Right.
Like it's just crazy to me.
And unconstitutional.
Yeah, it's unconstitutional. Like straight up, it's unconstitutional. So, to answer the question straightforward, no one should lose their job over vaccine mandates. If people refuse to get the jab, they shouldn't have to be threatened with job loss. I mean, it's crazy that things have gotten to a point where, people's livelihood is just being threatened over these mandates. I like, it's just crazy to me. Everyone should not be forced to get the jab. Obviously, some people will get it and then others won't. I mean, whoever decides to get it, fine. No one's going to knock that. I mean, I'm sure some people will because, people have their opinion. But, I mean, if people want to get it, go get it. If people don't want to get it, don't get it. I mean, it's really that simple. People just need to mind their own business. If somebody doesn't want to get it, they don't want to get it. Why are you worried about, let's say if you're vaccinated, why are you worried about who's unvaccinated? Because if you're vaccinated, you should have nothing to worry about, right? I mean, so, people just need to mind their own fucking business. That's just, that's my answer, my straightforward answer anyway. My straightforward answer.
Mind your damn business. That's what
right. Mind your damn business. If you're vaccinated, just mind your business. Don't worry about who's unvaccinated, who's vaccinated. Worry about yourself. If you're vaccinated, cool. You should be all right. Everything should be all right for you. Yeah, you should.
Remember, you stopped the spread of COVID. That's why you got this shot, right?
Right.
That's what everyone said.
Otherwise, they wouldn't still be able to get the motherfucker.
Right.
That was perfect. Right. That was perfect.
But yeah. So I came across a Yahoo Sports article that stated that Kyrie Irving will not play until COVID-19 vaccination is resolved. So, in other words, he will not be able to play for the Brooklyn Nets until he is jabbed or the city's vaccine mandate is lifted.
Yeah, but he still get paid for the away games.
Oh yeah, I mean, my man.
There we go.
He's still gonna get like $17 million for the away games.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he don't even gotta play in them. He don't even gotta play in games. He gonna get 17 million to sit home.
Nice.
I love it though.
Yeah, I love it too. I love it. But so I mentioned the city. So the city being discussed is New York City, for those who weren't aware. So right now, New York City is requiring proof of at least one dose of a vaccine. They're requiring proof of that in order to enter large indoor gatherings. The Barclays Center and its employees have to follow that mandate. Now, I actually already had this type of discussion with a couple of the homies. Now, in my opinion, personal health outweighs a team sport.
Agree.
Now, I know a lot of the sports fans are gonna, come at me about that, and
No, they should go eat a dick. That's what they should do.
No, I agree.
But Pat, would they come at you about that if, say, this person had like cancer or something? No,
probably not.
It's just this particular subject they're being douches about.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Because they want their team to go to the championship, and so
that too. But because they can't act like how they want to act, like they feel like, well, COVID has stopped me from like going to enjoy my basketball game, or I can't go outside and go enjoy beers with my fellas, or I can't, do the shit that I was doing before this. That's what it is.
It all boils down to selfishness. I mean, people are saying Kyrie Irving is being selfish, but really, the fans are whoever's saying, he needs to go get vaccinated and all this other shit. Really, they're being selfish too. A lot of people are being selfish in this regard, because going back to my point that personal health ultimately should outweigh a team sport. I mean, that's what it should be. Like, people need to do what's in their own best interest. I understand that he is part of a league where you're playing with a team. You're part of a team, and you're an important part of that team. You're a key part of that team. You're a key part of that team possibly winning. So I understand it from that side of the coin. People are like, well, if you decide not to get vaccinated and you don't play, that's just gonna fuck up our chances of winning. I get that from well, that's how some people look at it. And I do understand it from that side of the coin, like I said before, but at the same time, people have to do what's in their best interest.
Sorry to cut you off, BAT. That definitely makes sense. So, and I'm not going to just use, but I'm going to use something simple, right? I don't see players, and I know Draymond Green talked about this. I ain't never seen a player where basically if their significant other is over there, in a hospital trying to deliver a baby, I ain't never seen players say, oh, no, we need you to stay so we can win this game. No,
exactly.
Majority
that was
say,
the point I was making earlier.
Look like, yo, go with your significant other and go be there with her and whatnot. We got this and whatnot. See, when the situation changed, it's all cool and gravy. But because of this, everybody's acting like, that you lost your damn mind and whatnot. Y'all need to get your asses together. That's what it is. But continue what you have to say.
This was the point I was making earlier when I say I understand that it affects their championship run, right? But they wouldn't be going this hard if someone said they were doing this for religious reasons. They're just doing this because it's Kyrie. Like, if they wouldn't even bother to say to somebody who said they were doing it for religious reasons, well, I'm mad at you and etc. Because they know they couldn't. Right. They know they shouldn't. And they shouldn't hear. Excuse me. Go ahead, Mr. PRT. Sorry about that.
No, I totally agree. I think if it was for religious reasons, then people will be hard pressed to go against that, because people aren't just gonna, they're not gonna come at somebody like, well, fuck your religion, don't, like, go get vaccinated. Like, who cares what religion you practice? Like, nobody's saying that. Nobody's gonna say that, but I mean, I'm guessing there's non-religious reasons with Kyrie Irving, so people feel the need to impose themselves and say, well, fuck what you think. Just go get vaccinated so we can win this championship. You know, it's pretty much that kind of attitude. But you know, going back to you know, talking about teams and like the team sport and whatnot. So the way I look at it, teams can always have a chance to win. However, individuals only have one life to live. Period. Teams will always swap players out. They're going to have different players. You know, all the players that are on one team now aren't going to always be on that team. They're always going to bring in new people. So, yeah, a team can always have a chance to win. As long as they have the key players, the key components to win, they'll win. But that individual, and in this case, Kyrie Irving is the individual, he has one life to live. So he has to make choices that are important for him to live. Now, I won't get into any details, but one thing I know is that there have been some people who have gotten the jab and have had adverse reactions. I'm not going to get into if the vax correlates with the adverse reaction or not, but if anybody out there doesn't know, there is a database out there called VAERS, and that's VAERS. The database is called VAERS, which means Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. When you look up VAERS, there are sites that state that the database contains information on unverified reports. We'll just say that because that's what it says. It says unverified reports, but they're talking about unverified reports of adverse events. In other words, illnesses, health problems, and or symptoms after being injected with the vaccine. VAERS is co-managed by the CDC and the FDA. Now, I brought that up because...
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's real fucking crazy when you think about it. But I brought that up because there have been reports of adverse events. Now, whether they actually have something to do with the vaccine or not, we can't say for sure. I'm not going to be irresponsible and say, oh, well, I'm 100% sure that, you know, all this is connected. I'm not going to do that because even the site itself says that the reports are unverified. And, you know, I'm not going to be irresponsible like that. But the fact is, that's what is happening. People are getting vaccinated, and for one reason or another, who knows what it is, things are happening to these people. Health issues are happening to these people. And I know some personally where they say they, you know, got the jab and they're not feeling right. They're not feeling the same as they were before. They have like a chronic illness or something to that effect. So, you know, it's something for people to look into. I'm gonna just put it like that. But I will say, you know, all we can do is speculate and draw a conclusion as best as we can. Now, me personally, I don't like the sound of someone getting the jab and then having all sorts of health issues later. I can't speak for Kyrie Irving, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't like the sound of the adverse event reports. Now, I know other people don't like to hear these types of reports, but the fact of the matter is the reports are out there. If there is a database with multiple reports on adverse events, that's going to put some of us skeptics on edge, and rightfully so. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to put it bluntly. when a job requires their employees to get the jab, they're pretty much asking their employees to gamble with their life. Now, basically, they're asking their employees to gamble with their life. Now, the pro-vax folks can say that not getting the jab is gambling with one's life, but that is highly debatable. At the end of the day, people can check the data for themselves. It's easy to look up the death rate and the survival rate. See, one of the biggest problems of today is not enough critical thinking. I believe we're all in the predicament that we're in because too many people don't question anything and too many people just willingly follow. Now, as a result, the mandates are here and people's livelihood is being threatened with possible job loss, among other things. I mean, for real, the state that the country is in over this issue is a real disgrace.
Because Joe and the hoe gotta go.
Oh yeah, they definitely gotta go. They got to go. They got to go. They got to go. That's my spiel on that.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. All right, let's throw it to my guy, E-Man, to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
So, before we start and everything like that, like Snoop said, you know, we don't love them hoes. So I'll be like, I agree, because, you know, I just don't.
You don't
can't be saving hoes. Can't be saving those hoes. So, but before I even get into it, I want to give a shout out to my man Pascal from the Lazy Alkaline LLC and whatnot. By far one of the dopest alkaline chefs out there, and he ships food and whatnot. But that is one of my dopest dudes that in the world and whatnot. Dopest guy in the world. So I had to just put that out there. So I even forgot the question. What's the question? I forgot the question. My bad. I forgot the question.
No problem, sir. Is it fair for Kyrie Irving or anyone else to lose their job over vaccine mandates?
Hells the fucks no. And yes, I said it like that, you know. And the reason why I'm saying it, because mandates are not law. Remember this, all right? These fools are acting crazy because they told everyone we are in a state of emergency, whatnot. Certain states are in a state of emergency. Not all states, not all 50 states are in a state of emergency. That's where everyone's losing their mind. Now they created some another crazy protocol that, you know, now your employer can ask you to get tested weekly and whatnot. I'll go into the whole testing and whatnot, which people really shouldn't be worried about if you can do it yourself and whatnot, because that's what a lot of people have been doing. But you know, they're just adding more and more things, you know, because people are refusing to get the jab and whatnot. They're trying to get people to keep complying to unlawful things and whatnot, you know? And I tell people it's bigger than Kyrie Irving. And for me, I'm not going to say, you know, that like Kyrie Irving is rich people's problems, because to me, it's not my problem, because the simple fact is, like, I don't make millions of dollars playing basketball. He does. But knowing he has probably a great team that helps him invest and do all the great things, so that, that check that he gets is just another investment, not him living off that check and whatnot, you know? So we're just talking about home game. Away games, he should be fine. He should be fine at all, because ain't nobody hitting mandates in Utah and whatnot. You know, I ain't nobody hitting mandates heavily, you know, on, you know, in any other states and whatnot. Only New York has set up this crazy passport thing. Only New York and whatnot. All the other states that so-called say they got surges or whatever they're calling it and whatnot, they just want you to get vaxxed or basically get tested and whatnot. That's it. because they know what they're doing is not law and whatnot. So I don't know what's going on in New York, but New York need to get their life together and knowing that they're probably going to go through a huge protest. I'm just putting it out there.
They should. And I'm going to say this because I'm originally from New York. Of course, I rep the DMV, but New York, y'all got to hold this L straight up. Y'all got to hold this L because the mandates, come on, man. I'm going to just say that. Hold that L. New York, I fuck with you. I love New York. But, man, y'all got to hold this L.
I'm outrageous.
Put it like that.
It's outrageous.
It
really is.
It is.
It's when you think about it, the fact that it's a blatant disregard for people's constitutional rights to make that decision. They're forcing them to go against their constitutional right to decide not to get the vaccination. Otherwise, they're losing their livelihood.
Yeah,
some Supreme Court judge needs to declare this mandate unconstitutional.
That's all they have to do.
Absolutely. That's what they need to do.
They do. But here comes the thing. If they're not going to do it, that means they put their boys in there to not do it at all. So it means they're breaking the law too. If many people are really paying attention, there's been a lot of political figures and whatnot that have been indicted for a lot of different things. Like an example, that I think Lieutenant General for Larry Hogan, who is the governor of Maryland, his former Lieutenant General is actually got indicted for fraud and whatnot. So if he got indicted in fraud and he was working under Larry Hogan, don't you think, the governor, your time's coming up too? Because, you can't be having fraud where you're the top guy and then the guy that's supposed to be under you, like your third in command, he's sitting over here committing fraud and whatnot, So it's just been very crazy about the certain things that are going on. That's why I tell everyone you always got to pay attention to everything that's going on, not just what is actually going on. But yeah, New York, you're definitely gonna have to protest. They gave New York until November 4th and whatnot. And I told everybody, all right, I'm waiting for November 4th. All hell gonna break loose and whatnot. So all I know is we got primary elections for local elections, I think November 2nd, I believe. So yeah. So we New York, you better get ready to party because it's gonna probably be a huge party when November 4th come on, because it don't even make sense. Like here comes the thing, and I'm gonna put in some logic right now. All right. Just imagine if I was, a big unhealthy guy who got vaxxed, right? And I got this card. New York's let me, like, I can go anywhere I can go and whatnot. I'm like, all right, cool, But every time you got in that bar, you definitely got to pay for it. When you go to the gym, you got to pay for it, But let me ask you this. Are you going to the gym every day? Are you going to a bar every single day? Like, you're telling me nothing but vaccinated people can go to anywhere they choose to, but are they going there every single day? And if they're not going there every single day, what logic do you have? So you're telling me that everybody in New York can only serve people who have a vaccination card.
Yeah, that's
you're
bullshit.
Not even making you're not even making sense behind that.
That's that segregation shit right there.
And just like I just basically told when I interrupted Nine Angel, I said basically that it is discrimination by segregation, because remember, when it comes to discrimination, the origin of the word discrimination, all right, means to distinguish. When you distinguish something, now you have let people know that I like this better than this. No, yes. Fuck you too. It's just basically just stating that that you are basically separating one thing from another. COVID has separated vaccinated versus unvaccinated. I told people it will never be a whole black and white thing and whatnot, because psychologically they've already enrooted that into people's like psyche already by mind control. So, but now that's the whole new segregation now, you know? And if they do pull this off, then basically you're going to see signs where it's going to state, oh, only vaccinated people can use the water fountain, but unvaccinated people probably got to go all the way around the corner to go use the water fountain and whatnot, you know? We're getting back to those times. It's just, it's formulated differently. So that they can psych your mind out that basically that, you know, that you are not, I'm not even going to use the word racist, but you're biased and discriminate and whatnot. That sounds better because that's the right term. And when we're going to keep looking at this over and over again and see that you guys are not getting anywhere, you know, like I've been seeing people put up memes and all this stuff. And like, when I hear them speak, I'm like, you know, and when I say only a few things, you know, they lose their mind. Like here's another example. All right. I was on Facebook, right? This dude was talking about, you know, how unvaccinated people and whatnot, like, oh, you're spreading everything like that, you know? And, you know, and like, you know, we need to get vaccinated, then, you know, this shit's going to end. I'm like, this shit's not going to end if everyone gets vaccinated. What kind of shit is that? That don't even make sense.
No, it's not going to end because they're actually talking about booster shots and, you know, yeah.
And other more things where they're making money off of. Yep. So I asked the dude, was like, yo, you know, if these shots are not curing anything, why are you telling people to go get a shot and whatnot? You know what his response was? You know, he was like, I don't know, but you know, I never said it was going to cure anything. So if it's not curing nothing, why in the hell are you telling people to go get something that supposedly is supposed to stop a spread and whatnot, you know? But then you guys are mad at Kyrie Irving. I'm like, you guys like picking on athletes because it's so easy to get everyone to zoom in on things that they like and whatnot. What sports is by far the biggest driver in the US and whatnot? And why? Because you got lazy motherfuckers who enjoy a beer and sit around and basically just stay, you know, watching television all day, and they be yelling at the television at players that don't know you and whatnot, you know, and know nothing about your life, that you want them to sit here and help your team win a championship, you know? Yeah. They're the ones doing all the work. You just sitting there holding a beer and saying, yay, 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 you know? Yeah. They're out there putting their bodies on the line every day for your little entertainment.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. For your little entertainment. Yeah. For your little entertainment. But then you're mad at him? My man has that right to choose, you know? Like, I tell people like this, like, and I'm going to use another good example, right? Everyone hates, you know, when people find out, you know, that I'm alkaline, you know, and like, you know, I'm really into, you know, the whole alkalinity of like eating right and everything like that, you know? I tell people, I educate people. I don't care if you really, you know, into what I'm into, but you're not going to bash me and whatnot. Like, I don't bash people because you eat meat, whatnot. I just tell people like, yo, it's unhealthy because it's actually dead. I'm not lying. It's dead. When you go to the store, it's dead. It's not alive. You don't see a live cow that when you go to the store and pick up the live cow and you go slaughter it. The thing's dead, you know? But I'm the crazy one, you know? And that's how everything's perceived to Kyrie Irving, you know? Once you give someone a little bit of truth, oh, you're the crazy one. You lost your mind, you know? And it's sad. It really is sad. And I'm gonna just
not to get off subject or interrupt you, but the only thing about that is that plants are alive before you pick them, and then they're dead. Just throwing that out there, because plants are living. The actual fruit is in certain cases, the ovary of the living plant. So when you pick it, you are essentially killing that living item. I think the only reason I mention that anyway, because I'm not opposed, I once was vegan. I'm just clarifying that in that particular argument, there are nuances to that.
And that's what everyone says, which is also true. And then basically when I tell people, I follow up with that even though plants are living things, but the harm to that plant is different from a harm to an animal.
Well, then you're just talking semantics, because some people argue that plants, some people have said that their plants bloom when certain music is played.
Which is true because they believe in frequency.
Right. So if that's the case, that's an indication that to some extent, plants have a sensory, right? They have a sense of some form of emotion and etc., which
that
one can argue eating plants could be harmful to eating the plant, just as eating meat could be harmful to the animal. Obviously, there's a different variance because, right, to a certain extent, animals have a level of communication, and that's why people are more empathetic to, eating animals. And let me be clear, I've been vegan, vegetarian, and a meat eater. I am not judging any group of folks, but I think that goes back to my original point that people shouldn't be judging Kyrie because Kyrie is making the best decision for him, just like all those individuals in the analogy that I just gave. There are some people whose body are naturally deficient of protein. And yes, while you could get proteins from fruit and vegetables, they would have to eat an extraneous amount to get the same amount that they would eat in, say, a piece of fish. So the entire point that I was just making there is that no one should be judging the lifestyles of others, or at least should care enough about judging the lifestyles of others to the point that they start to impose on those other people's lifestyles. That was the point I was getting to.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, sir.
No, you're good. Because that was actually where I was leading to. But now, Angel, finish everything when I say, but I'm going to end it.
Points there.
Yeah, and it was really good points. But I'm going to end it on this. Basically, your job has no control over your personal health. I will repeat this again. Your job has no power over your personal health. The word personal means towards you. That's why when you spell the word personal, it has the word person in it, and a person is a vessel, which is, you. So they don't have control over that, The government has lied to everyone and given them, because the simple fact is, what is the best way to control someone? Put fear into the occupation that they are working into every single day. Because that's what they've been doing. And people you can say whatever you want, but I'm not lying. I'm really not and whatnot. Because there was and something that was very much interesting, not to take anything from Kyrie Irving, but there was a pilot, and I watched the video, I think on IG, and he said it like this, I've been a pilot for 18 years, and I've had no issues with my job and whatnot, Now I'm being forced to take a shot to come in, to do the same thing that I've been doing for the past 18 years and whatnot, And he said, when that mandate come close, I'm definitely walking out. And the most powerful thing he said was basically, I'm not walking out because of my job. I'm walking out because I have that right and freedom to choose if I want it or not. So he even said that this is bigger than me. you know? And I was like, damn, and whatnot. Because it didn't just hit my heart, but he understands the truth behind it, you know? Because they will keep taking things and keep taking things if you allow them to take them. But when you stand up against them, that's why they get so angry and mad, you know? Ask everyone. Since this whole thing of vax and unvax, I've been seeing more articles about being unvaccinated. That's telling me you're one-siding the whole story and whatnot. See, my conscience can see that, but others can't. And the reason why is because you're so superficially in their corner. Because why? That's the narrative that you want to stand behind. Why? Because you want to go back to your enclosed bottle of life and you're being into your own bubble and whatnot. And someone bursts your bubble, now you're losing your mind. Now you're forcing and telling people, do this so we can go back and whatnot. So I can go back doing the things I want to do and whatnot, which is selfish. You know, that's selfish. Because I don't know why people calling Kyrie service, because supposedly Kyrie has basically donated money to like HBCUs. They've even stated that this man like bought a house for George Floyd's mother and whatnot, you know?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that part. I know that I've heard that he's very active in the community, but I didn't know the specific part about George Floyd's mom. That's actually
this is what I've been finding on the net. He gave out, $250K, Thanksgiving meals probably last year. He's donated at least 1.5 million to the women's NBA, he's buying 200 plus kids, Christmas presents. But this is the man they calling selfish because he's choosing not to get some, Like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me, And
yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, and this is where the bullshit is. So if Kyrie has to stand up to hold up to his own freedom of his own choice, I respect that. Even with that same pilot and whatnot. And I told everyone like this, I don't care if you get it or not. It don't bother me. Because here comes the thing. That shot's not harming me. That's harming you. You're going to have to deal with it. And just to put another piece of information out there, since your employers are forcing anything that you do know your employers, when you taking anything, they don't have no liability of any harm that you've done to yourself. And I'm going to tell everyone like this because I've been a personal trainer for 10 years. I've been a personal trainer for 10 years, and liability is something that I don't play with because this is something I need to know because I will get sued. Like, people want to sue people, and personal trainers are easily get sued. So you have to know the game of liability because that's basically what I work with. I'm a customer service entity with liability implications I have to deal with probably daily and whatnot, of many silly things and whatnot, Like, your employers, if something happens to you, nothing happens to them. You got to take the whole fall for everything. That's the sad part. They're not trying to tell anybody. But when it happens, that's when everyone's going to start looking at their employer. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to tell you the same shit that I'm telling you and whatnot, So, last final thought and whatnot. Leave Kyrie alone. Leave anybody who wants to stand up for their own choice. And that's their choice. And I will respect that choice, no matter what and whatnot, Because I told everyone once November hit, this is when the shit's going to get real. And it's going to get a whole lot real and whatnot. So you're going to really see when shit's falling down. Because they sitting here lying to everyone. Because to me, I know that many people I know since high school, they're telling me, and most of them who are nurses, they're telling me they got shortages in hospitals, which is true and whatnot. They have shortages on the airlines currently right now, which is true and whatnot. Amtrak's probably going to have shortages, with their lines and whatnot. So it's coming and whatnot, So just ending my thought, leave everyone who wants to do their thing and be by your damn self if you need to go get a life and whatnot. And I'm ending my thoughts like that.
All right. Thank you, sir.